Oh, welcome to the Sharpe Show. So happy to have you with me this evening, a little bit past 7 p.m. on the East Coast. And today is an AMA. And ask me anything. Why would I do that on a Wednesday? You're saying, Larry, it's Wednesday. Why would you do that? Well, because I'm traveling this week. Yes, I am traveling this week. For those of you who don't know, I will be doing events tomorrow. I'll be doing events. I'll be doing events tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I'll be doing events all these days. Let me see if I can find the specific piece I want to show you if I can. We'll see if my computer wants to be good to me, but I will be traveling. So since I'll be traveling, and I always want to make sure that I am that I'm out there able to give you some type of AMA, I want to do it instead today. Hold on, see if I can give you this here. And let me pop it up so you can see. Now my team will be happy that I did this. So now they can see it. And there it is. Tomorrow, I will be Thursday, 6 p.m. at St. Lydia's in Brooklyn. Then Friday, I will be in Caesar's house in Bemis Point. That's all the way out at Cattaraugus County. I'm sorry, Chautauqua County, the most furthest western county in New York State. I'll be there. Then I'll be in Wyoming County after that. Be in Penn Yan after that. Auburn. That's Saturday. And then Sunday, I will be in Norwich. And then after that, I will be, believe it or not, I will be coming back towards New York City in Hudson Valley in Newburgh. So check it out. You will see this posted on my social media. If you want to come see me, please stop by. Come say hi. Love to have you with me to come say hi, chat with me if you want to. Again, all these are the events themselves are free. I would ask you, though, if you want to please, when you come to the event, buy something. A cup of coffee if you're not doing very well. A meal if you can afford a meal. Please buy a meal at these events. Support these local places. They're all local places. Please head on by. So thank you for that, guys. I do appreciate it. So now that you know that I'm going to be out and about doing things, that's great. All right. So I know I always start my AMA with something. And today I wanted to start it with something that I thought was kind of interesting, which I've seen, which is massive amounts of division. And something that popped up that really kind of drove me crazy. Let me first pop up this one if I could. This is a bit from Fareed Zakaria. He brought up division on his show this weekend. And again, this is I've been talking about forever. I only bring it up when the mainstream does it because now that means the mainstream finally figured it out, right? Michael Smerconish talked about it, which is the norm. He now figured that out. I talked about it. So now you'd be thinking, wait a minute, if Larry's talking about it and Michael Smerconish is talking about it, well, maybe it's real. Maybe the mainstream's getting it finally. That's my issue.
But first, here's my take. Watching the intense, polarized debates about everything these days, from the aftermath of the Charlie Kirk assassination to Jimmy Kimmel's suspension, I've been thinking about the very different atmosphere in Washington when I started my professional life.
Now, my problem is he's right. I'm not saying he's wrong. He is correct. But where you been? Like, this has been true for a long time. This is what's destroying us. And we're doing it so much that it's only about the other. Stop the other, stop the other, stop the other. That's all that matters. It's harming us to the point when we stop thinking. We stop.
It was 1986, the peak of the Reagan years, and I was a lowly reporter researcher
back in the day.
The New Republic, then the hottest political magazine in the country. The New Republic was left of center, but some of its most prominent writers, Charles Krauthammer, Fred Barnes, Andrew Sullivan.
And this was back in the day, he's right on this one, where you could pick up a magazine like that. And, look, it was a left-leaning magazine. He's right. But you could get right-leaning information from that same magazine. Hard to find that now, right? He's correct. Right? You'd have a left-leaning magazine, but you'd have the guy who was an honest righty, or even a right-leaning magazine, you'd have the honest lefty who would show up and give you their view on one side or the other. True.
Was staunchly conservative. Every week at every editorial meeting, they disagreed ferociously, and yet amicably. They were no different from President Reagan, who would lash out against the Democrats and then invite House Speaker Tip O'Neill over to the White House for a drink.
Very famous. Very famous.
That Washington seems unrecognizable today.
He's not wrong. But my worry is it's not the Washington that I care about. I would say that America is unrecognizable today. That dinner table is unrecognizable today. That school is unrecognizable today. That workforce lunchroom is unrecognizable today. I would argue that none of those things are recognizable at all.
What explains how we have come from there to here? In looking at the poisonous aftermath of Charlie Kirk's horrific assassination.
And if you remember, what is the first thing I asked the left to do when Charlie Kirk was murdered? The first thing I said was, left, shut up. Let the right grieve. Don't say anything. Obviously, the left doesn't like Charlie Kirk. I get it. You don't have to like everybody. And clearly the left did not like Charlie Kirk. I understand that. You don't like him. You're a lefty. I get it. You can just be quiet. Let the right grieve. They couldn't. They had to fight back. They had to attack. All that mattered is to fight back. And the part that he's not talking about is this left-right paradigm that makes it worse is now everything is about virtue signaling. It is just showing what team you're on. Does not matter the cost. It does matter if it makes sense. It's irrelevant. There is no way regular people would want to be happy that some guy got murdered in front of his kids. That's not a thing before. Now it is. Now, fine. Yeah. As long as I can show you that I'm the most virtuous, that I'm the strongest guy on my team, I will literally celebrate a man being murdered in front of his children. That wasn't a thing before.
Many have cited a variety of statistics. Vice President J.D. Vance claimed that more people on the left these days condone political violence than on the right, which seems broadly correct in the Trump era, though it does depend on how pollsters ask the question. It's also true, however, that in recent years, there have been many more acts of violence committed by right-wingers than left-wingers.
But hold on. While that's accurate, I have to make a caveat to that. And some of you are going to want to fall out of a chair when you hear this. If you say there's been more attacks by right than left, that is statistically accurate, but here is the caveat. For those of you who don't know how the FBI deals with this issue, this is a true story. Check it out if you want to. If you are a Muslim extremist, you are a right-winger. I'm not joking. That's how the FBI actually classifies that. So statistically, he's correct. But do you classify some Muslim extremists as a right-winger? By the way, if you're Arab or Middle Eastern, as far as the FBI is concerned, you are also classified as white. That's true. You are classified as white. So, yes, I know something like, what is it? Yes, that you do your homework. I'm making this up. I'm saying it live. That's how the FBI classifies you. So you are classified, if you are a Muslim extremist, as a white right-winger. So when you add all that together, he's correct. He's not wrong.
3 separate studies point to this trend, including one by the Right of Center Cato Institute. Another Justice Department study did as well, but the DOJ has now deleted it from its website. But the most telling statistic comes from a 2020 survey, which asks Republicans.
This part is really important. This part is very important.
And Democrats to estimate the support for political violence of the other party.
Now, that's the piece. That's the piece I want to bring up here. The part that matters most is how does my side see the other side? And I told you that's the issue. Why does the left hate the right or the right hate the left? Because they believe they're hated. They believe they're hated.
Members of each party estimated that the support for political violence from the other party was 4 times higher than it actually was.
So that's it. If you look at this right here, you look at what's been going on. This is as of October 2020. The left Democrats are more open to accepting political violence than the right. That's true. The data shows that they are more open to accepting it as okay and acceptable. Still small percent, just 10%, still small. But when you ask Republicans, they think, oh, Democrats are far worse. Republicans think, well, Democrats are both think the opposite are far worse. And the reality is they're relatively close, but Democrats are more. But they're relatively close. They believe, oh my God, the other guys want to kill us, but we don't want to kill them. The other guys want to kill us. That's how that works.
For example, Democrats' support for political violence was about 10 on a 100-point scale, but Republicans estimated it to be about 40.
That's an important
and vice
piece.
versa.
That's the otherism I've been talking about
Scholars
forever.
call this affective polarization, meaning not disagreeing on the issues, but rather thinking that your opponents are bad.
Bingo. Thinking your opponents are bad. I've been saying that forever. Once you make them the one-word story, then they are evil and bad by default, and they then get all of the bad traits. They're dumb, and they're brilliant, and they're weak, and they're super strong, and they're totally incompetent, and they're masterminds. They're all the bad things. Everything you want them to be, they are, because they're the other. That is what he's talking about, and that's what I've been
Why
talking
has this grown so mightily over the years? When I think back on my New Republic days, I recall that the big debates at the time usually involved two issues: economics, how much to tax and spend, and the Soviet threat, how best to counter it.
Yep.
While the disagreements on these issues were often huge, there were many ways to compromise. If one side wanted to spend $100 billion and the other zero, well, there's a number between those two.
True, there was some compromise.
Even on foreign,
but now you can't compromise, because the second you compromise, you've compromised with evil. That's the difference. Back then, you compromise with the knucklehead who thinks wrong or whatever, or the evil Democrat, not the evil, the bad guy, Democrat, Republican who doesn't know any better, whatever. Now the person's evil. You can't do it. Now you're compromising with evil.
On policy, Republican hawks like Nixon and Reagan had found themselves softening their stances and negotiating with the Soviet Union.
True.
As these issues faded, the Soviet Union collapsed, and parties nowadays follow pretty similar borrow and spend policies. New ones emerged.
Yes, I think that's all I wanted to show you, but that was my point I wanted to bring up, right? That was the part that I thought was important. Mike says there's far more recent polling than Fareed 2020 poll. This year, in fact, showing the left dramatically more willing to act violently to politics. He hit it to Bush. I don't care about that part, Mike. I'm not saying you're wrong. He did show that the left is more open, even back then, to violence than the right. But that isn't my point. I'm not saying you're wrong. My point was when one side thinks about the other, they assume the other is far worse. That was my point, right? I think you can see there's more left leaning. In general, the left is more open to violence back then and now by polling. That's true. I'm not saying they're more violent, but they're more open to accepting violence. And I think the dancing on TikTok, proved that. I mean, I should say prove. The dancing on TikTok was an example of that. That's what I will say. It was an example of that piece. But yeah, my point wasn't that then. My point was you think the other is far worse than they actually are, right? Not meaning you, but we as humans think that. That's an important piece. So I just want to grab that real fast. All right. Let's see if I can grab that. And there was one more piece I wanted to pick up here. The next piece was hold on if I can find this piece here. This is recently, if I can. This is, see if I can open this up. Can I open this up? There we go. All right. I opened this up. This is from this one is from Twitter, but it's a TikTok. It's a doctor who is taking Tylenol, and she's pregnant to she's gonna teach the Republicans. She's gonna show them, and she's taking Tylenol. She's showing she's pregnant.
28 weeks pregnant.
She says 28 weeks pregnant.
You know what I'm gonna take?
You know what I'm gonna take? She grabs Tylenol. Of course, no ring.
Some Tylenol, acetaminophen. It's gonna
Take
work
it
like a charm, and my baby won't have autism.
She literally said, I'm gonna take it. It's gonna work like a charm, and my baby won't have autism. She said those words. How broken do you have to be to do this? I get you don't like Trump. I got it. I do. I live in New York City. I see lots of people who don't like Trump. I got it. Trump says, don't take Tylenol. You will now gamble. Now, I don't care if Tylenol works or not. I don't care. You're taking it and then making a statement, my baby won't have autism. You don't know why. This doctor does not know why kids have autism. She doesn't know. If she knew, she would say it. She doesn't know. Is it possible he'll have autism? Maybe. I don't know. Neither does she. But she will take this pill just because to show I'm part of the team. She would perhaps sacrifice the health of her baby for this. How broken is this country that she wasn't the only one? This was a trend on TikTok. This was a trend. You could just say nothing. That is an option. Nothing is an option. Another option is just go, I hate Trump. He's bad. They do that every day. You could just do that. But she would literally take Tylenol and gamble on her unborn baby to own the conservatives. That'll teach you, Trumplicans. I taught you a lesson. How broken are we that was a thing? How broken are we? And here was the next one. I'll just show you this also off. I found this also off of Twitter as I just did a quick check. This one here. These are different dudes taking, look. They don't take, she's chugging it, taking it, right? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? There's a ton of it, everywhere. And here's the actual thing on Tylenol. Tylenol says, ask a professional before you use. Tylenol actually says that, right? Here's one for 2019 saying, Tylenol says, congrats on your upcoming, so exciting. Basically, don't take it. Right there, basically, don't take it. Right there. Already there. And we did it anyway. That part drove me crazy. Watching that blew my mind that you would do that just to show. It is crazy that you would do that. Now, again, I get you don't like Trump. You don't got to like Trump. Fine. Hate him. Call him names. It's happening every day. Go ahead. But you would do that? You would TikTok that. How is that person? What if she wants to find a husband? I don't know if she does, but for the sake of argument, she wants to go find a husband. Now in America, more men are right-leaning than left. She can't date a guy who's right-leaning. She would do that? If the guy said, yeah, I vote Republican. If a guy said, I ever vote Republican ever in my life. I'm sorry. If a guy said, I did not vote Democrat my entire life. I'll go that far. If literally a guy was talking to her and said, I did not vote Democrat every single time my entire life, she'd be like, and then at the end, she wouldn't date him. I don't know why she doesn't have a ring. Of course not. How could you possibly do that? It's insane. This is crazy. All right. I thought that was interesting. The last piece I'll bring up is that, like, I keep having people, how many people sent me this? 3 people, I think, sent me this because it basically is what I've been talking about forever. This is a piece from Breaking Points. It's not the same, but it's just one piece before I get going. People sent me this because I've been talking about this forever.
Yep. Rather than trying to like run away from it and be all scared.
This is talking about Pete Buttigieg not being picked for the VP by Harris because he was, quote, too gay, if you remember that.
Where it just comes off as weakness. So that's number 2. Number 3, the problem with Pete Buttigieg is not that he's gay. It's that
it's true. That's not the problem. Keep going.
He sucks. It's that he's a neoliberal shill who stands.
He does suck. That's an accurate statement. He's bad at what he does, right? That's true. He's boring. He thinks he's Obama light. He has no experience, right? That's true. She's right. Now, she said that.
For nothing. Who Black people can't stand, right? Like, that's the problem with Pete Buttigieg, okay? Now, she doesn't have that problem with him, but that's the actual issue with him.
True. Now, she admits that's the problem with him, and she's right.
Therefore, I think Pete should feel lucky that he dodged this bullet of having to be associated with this, terrible campaign, which ended in disaster, in my opinion, for the country and the world. So there's that as well. So there's a lot of different layers going on here with this Pete Buttigieg commentary. And, the last piece, there's two other pieces.
Keep going.
On the question of, is the country ready for like a black woman and a gay man?
Is the country ready for a black woman and a gay man? Now, remember, she just about Pete Buttigieg. Now, here she goes.
That have been too much to ask the country to endure. Listen, I'm not one who says that sexism didn't play any role in this campaign. I think it did. I think that was part.
So she won't say that it had to do with him being gay, but she will say sexism. Why? It affects her. Now, I would argue it's not sexism and racism. Why would I argue that? Because in 2016, Hillary Clinton won the popular vote. So America, even though we didn't elect because of Electoral College, we didn't elect Hillary Clinton, America voted for Hillary Clinton as president of the United States. That already happened. That happened already. And that was 8 years ago, 10 years ago now. So the idea to say that America is not ready for a woman president is demonstrably wrong. Well, can we have a black president? We voted for one twice. Not once, twice. This is garbage. Now, here's the part that bothers me about this. She just said it's not because he's gay, it's because he's a bad candidate. Harris is a bad candidate. It's what I've been saying. She's a crap candidate. It has nothing to do with her being a woman, nothing to do with being black. In fact, she's not really, she's only black when she says she's black, otherwise she's Indian. So she just decides when she's black. I love that. That's fine. Whatever. I don't care. So, that's my point I'm bringing up. I thought that was an interesting piece. But this does get better.
Trump ran this very campy man campaign. Remember the way that the Madison Square Garden rally was like
a man campaign. Harris had the opportunity to go to every place that Trump went to. She chose not to. Just because some of those men were popular, which is true, she didn't go. This is cope by her, as it always is.
Leaned into this kind of gender divide.
Yeah, and Hulk Hogan ripping off his shirt at the RNC.
Exactly.
And of course, women hate when men rip off their shirts, right? Stop.
That was there, right? And I think there's a lot of hostility towards women right now in general. I genuinely feel that.
Yeah, towards some women, I think that will be true.
Coming from the red pill and the manosphere and whatever, guys can't get ahead, and it's because of these damn women who are keeping them down. And
what did Harris and all the people do? If you remember, I showed you this. She's acting like it's all the dumb men's fault. That's the reason why they hated you, because all you did was reinforce it. If you remember, I showed you this. Michael Smerconish brought this up, and I did this on the show. The Democratic Party showed all the people they cared about, and it was every single group except men. I'm not making that up. It was every group except men. Literally, once it happens, what does she do? Dumb manosphere. She insults men. Well, you know what might work? If you stopped insulting men. You could just stop insulting them. That's it. You don't have to kiss their butt. You don't have to be nice to them. You could just stop insulting them, and maybe they will come to you. But she can't. The smugness in her is terrible. That's the other divide I want to bring up, because she's right on one point. The divide is coming again. It's not just left-right. It's also male-female. And it's growing. And it's growing for the same reason. Women think men hate them. So men think women hate them. The same thing is happening. And she's proving it. I mean, when it comes to self-awareness, she has almost none. Almost none.
Nagging them, and they need to be put in their place. Like, there is an energy of that right now.
You
that
should
is real.
stop doing that, though, Crystal.
See? Literally, the mouse who says nothing on Crystal and Friends. She couldn't take it. She actually had to say something like, Crystal, you're the one. You're doing it. You literally beat up on Sagar like he's your son. Yeah.
You should.
Yeah, I'm trying to work on myself, Emily, like the self-hating thing, but
yeah. See how she blows it off? She has literally no self-awareness. Emily wasn't joking. Nobody's joking. I do shows on this. And she's like, yeah, self-hating, ha, ha, ha. Yeah. She's full of herself. She thinks she's awesome. That's why this is not Breaking Points. This is Crystal and Friends.
Anyway, I'll get there. But
imagine how powerful Sagar could be without you nagging him.
She laughs it off. I want you to imagine the reverse. Imagine if this was Sagar and the guy Ryan. Yeah, the other guy Ryan. It was Sagar and Ryan. And that reverse happened. And Ryan said, if you would sometimes let her, I got to keep it quiet. Imagine if that happened. Oh my God, it's the end of the goddamn world. He's canceled. It's the end of the world. Now, I know I'm doing whataboutism here, but the point is, she's not going, I should chill out. You know what? No. It's ha, ha, ha. He deserves it. And you wonder why. And you wonder why there's a bigger divide in this case.
I'm sure he feels that way.
Everywhere.
Some days he definitely feels that way.
This is a laugh.
In any case.
This is a laugh and a dismissal. And that was my point again. A laugh and a dismissal. No one's even trying to make this better. No one's even trying to make this better. So, yeah. Hold on. Monothread says, devaluing a person is not nagging. True. That's true. And that's what she does. If you've ever watched her, she cuts him off. She tells him to be quiet. She gives him the hand. She does all those things. And he sadly just takes it. I guess he's like, I got to keep paying my bills. I got a kid. So maybe he does that. Anyway, those are the things I wanted to show you guys. It's kind of interesting. I hope you guys enjoyed what I was talking about. Let me get some comments and such and move down this road. Lunatic says, why are we listening to dumbass people? Because they're funny to listen to, Lunatic. This is also going to be entertaining. So we got to do both. Oh, because they outnumber us? Got it. Capture, enslave, labor force, etc. Here's the issue. It isn't just outnumber us, right? There's an old thing, and Lunatic, I'm preaching to the choir here. I think you know this. There's a meme out there where there is a horse that's standing, and the lead is just hanging over a chair. So the horse is not actually tied to anything. And it could just walk away if it wants to. It's just hanging over a chair. And the horse sits there. Because the horse has been taught that it can't move. There's actually nothing there. The horse could walk away. It won't. There's lots of us who are like that, Lunatic. How do I get that person to do it? When it's very hard. It's hard to free someone when they don't think they're enslaved. And the reverse. It's hard to free someone when they really love their cage. Both of those things can be true. And I think that's what we have to work on. And that's almost every show you and I talk. That's almost every show. We do that constantly. So, all right, let me grab some of these if I can. There were so many comments. I do want to go through them and get as many as I can. All righty. Let's see here. Patty says, my LNR friends think I'm an idiot for watching Larry and loving the people in the chat. They think I'm crazy for having both LNR friends. Well, no, I do think that sometimes is true. That people get upset and angry because we have different types of friends. That's my point. How can you be with the enemy, Patty? They're the enemy. They're the evil people. Well, now you're allowing evil people to deal with it, to be with you. And that's the bad thing. So I understand their concern. I do. Patty goes on to say, honestly, I think the FBI/CIA are behind this huge division, and it's a psyop to control us. There was a time, Patty, where I would have been like, no way, that's not true. Now I'm not so sure. I'm not saying it's there. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying now I'm not as sure as I used to be. A while ago, I'd have been like, no way. Now I'm not sure. So, all righty. Let's see here. Vivek says, Larry, what are your thoughts on the ASD press conference this week? Yeah, I brought it up, right? The idea. Here is what I'll bring up, and I've said it more than once. I brought it up when I was with when I did that video on Crystal's oldest son, Kyle. There are literally hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of parents and family members who have someone on the spectrum in their life. And if they've had this person in their life for a decade or more, there was very little support structure for them. And when those people were looking for answers, when those people were looking for support, The government said, shut up. It's not vaccines. Be quiet. Shut up. The government didn't go, oh my God, this is a problem. Let's do something. The government did what stupid Kyle did, which go, it's diagnosis. That's all it is. So shut up and take it. That was their answer. It's because you're old. That's what Kyle said, right? That's what the government said. It's because you're old. It's because better diagnosis. Deal with it. Meanwhile, something like 85 to 90% of marriages with an autistic child were falling apart. Communities were falling apart. Now, to be clear, it's not as bad now. There are many more support groups now than have ever been. But in the past, there were almost none. So here are these moms desperately looking for an answer, desperately looking for support, desperately looking for why? Why did my life get wrecked? Did I do something wrong? Is there something like, what's the answer? And the American government said, shut up. As Kyle said, he called them stupid and selfish idiots. Remember that? That's what the government was doing. So now somebody's saying, I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to work on it. Of course, women are going to be happy. I say women, but it's mostly moms. But it's also dads, but it's mostly moms. Of course, they're going to be happy. Someone gives a shit. Someone's listening to me. Someone wants to find an answer. I get it. I'm blessed. I don't have someone who's on the spectrum directly in my family. My niece is on the spectrum. She's older now. She's 30, I think 30 right now. So, of course, my sister-in-law had a big problem with that 30 years ago. And, of course, she's divorced because that's the stat, right? That's the stat. That's how it worked. And so she suffered from that too, of course. So I am happy that someone's actually trying to do something, whether you like it or not. I don't care. People are mad. Well, it's not Tylenol. I don't care if it's Tylenol. I don't. I care that now you have to think about that. That's what I care about. I care that now you have to go, well, no, let's look at the data. Good, look at the data. And people are going to say, well, they were looking at it. No, they weren't. Stop it. No, they weren't. They were happy to create an autism industrial complex full of new IEPs, new this, new that. That's what they were doing. The government was just taking advantage because what Kennedy said, and those who don't like Kennedy, you don't have to like him, but here's what he said. He's right. He said the most profitable thing in America is a sick kid. And he's right. And the government is making a killing off of these kids. And the parents were getting destroyed. But he's a kook. Okay, great. What was your answer? Nothing. He's crazy. Great. What was your answer? Nothing. And you wonder why millions of moms went, oh my God, someone's listening. I'll get behind him and I'll do whatever it takes and I'll vote for him. But when you give somebody no answer, how many times I gotta say this? No answer, wrong answer, take wrong answer. So all of you are like, they're dumb because Tylenol. What's your answer? You don't have one? You can shut up then. Why don't you go tell that mom who has no answer and who's struggling and has no idea what to do with her life? Why don't you go tell her to shut up. See if you can do that. I dare you. Go do it. You won't. You'll go online and do it, but you won't tell that mom. I've met those moms, many of them. I have met many of them. So I'm happy this happened. Good. Let's figure it out. Is it Tylenol? Whatever it is. Whatever. I don't care what it is. I don't. I am so happy that we are pushing it now. I am so happy that we're trying to figure the damn thing out. And if he's wrong and it's not Tylenol, whatever, good. Now you got to have an answer. Because if you don't, they're going to keep saying Tylenol, aren't they? So great. There's a saying I use in business, which is if you can't find the right answer, put the wrong answer on the table. Why? Because then people attack the wrong answer. Great. What's the right answer? Well, it can't be this. Must be. Good. Put the wrong answer on the table. We can't find the answer to this. I'm going to put the wrong answer on. We'll figure it out. So that's my thoughts on it. I don't know why Trump all of a sudden started yelling, don't take Tylenol. That's not what Kennedy said. Like, he did not say, don't take Tylenol. That's not what he said. But in a way, I'm happy Trump said it because, again, it got people running around. But what I don't like is it also shows how crazy people are to be taking the Tylenol just because Trump said, don't take Tylenol. Like, if Trump said oxygen's bad, would you choke yourself out? I mean, like, man. Okay. Let me move again if I can. All right. Let's see here. You guys going back and forth. That great. Vivek goes on to say, nope, unless stuff like releasing the EpiPen, withdrawing from NATO, reducing foreign military aid and bases or third party gets meaningful traction to other to somebody else. Okay. Yeah. All righty. That's fine. Let me move on if I can. All right. Our Rick says, I fight for the sideless side. I like that. I like that. Big Quote Day says, the division narrative is driven by the mainstream media. Only 31% voted for this clown. No, you're totally incorrect. Division's everywhere. Division's absolutely true. It's not. You just saw people taking Tylenol to show the guy what's going on. You just saw 20,000 people go to Charlie Kirk's thing to show own the libs. You just saw it. You just saw it. You saw people try to get rid of Jimmy Kimmel and then try to get him back. At least have who never watched Jimmy Kimmel in their life. You know that to be true. You see it in the swiping data on dating apps. People are deciding whether they're liberal or conservative. You see it everywhere, dude. To think that that's a narrative, you're not paying attention. It's not a narrative. It's real. Division is real. That is not a narrative, my friend. That's not a thing. It's not MSN. I mean, don't get me wrong. MSN is driving it, but it's not a narrative. It's real. I see it everywhere. I'll give you an interesting story. True story. About a month ago, maybe 2 months ago, I forgot what it was. Maybe 2 months ago, I'm at my deli here in Queens, and I forgot what I'm picking up. I'm picking up probably, I forgot what I was picking up. I'm picking up something at deli, whatever it was. And there's a woman on a phone in front of me, and she's talking to her, I assume, girlfriend. I'm assuming that's true. And she's like, yeah. And she had to, figure out, what kind of guy this was. So when she was on the date, she asked him, hey, what do you think about Elon Musk? This is a date. First date. And to figure out how you feel about Elon Musk or not. Because that's how you should decide who you should date. How you think about Elon Musk. Yeah, that's everywhere. This is not a narrative, brother. It's not. And by the way, interesting enough, at that time, when them Cybertrucks happened to go by, and when a Cybertruck went by, I pointed at it and laughed, and she went, ugh, immediately. She's like, you can see her face. Ugh, that guy must be a bad guy because he has a Cybertruck. I can't date that guy. That might have been the love of her life. Maybe, and maybe not. Who knows? But I'm saying she was never going to find out because Elon Musk. So, no. She says, we agree on Palestine, health, consumer protection, and so many other issues whose solutions is ended to oligarchs. That's not true. That you made that up. We do not agree on Palestine as Americans. We don't agree on healthcare. Nope. Consumer protection. Nope. That's not true. And here's the other thing. Even if we did, well, what happened is if Trump says one, or say Mamdani as the left-wing bad guy says the other, then they're wrong. Because Trump, or I'm using Mamdani, the left doesn't have the same boogeyman right now as the right does. For the sake of argument, I'm going to use Mamdani. If Mamdani says healthcare is this, well, then the right has to hate it. If Trump says Palestine's that, then everyone else has to hate it. So no, you're making this up, brother. It's just not true. None of that's true. So, all right, let me grab this if I can. I got so many of these. So, all righty. Lunatic, look at you coming out with the cash. Thank you, my friend. Medical system, not natural. Food system, not natural. Education system, not natural. Well, yes, all government run. But if you look at a lot of local stuff, I would say locally that's not accurate. If you look locally, you're finding more and more people look to non-state run facilities. I think it is happening more and more. Even with the idea of women having babies, you see more of those. Is that a doula? Is that the right term? More of those happening, even for births. You're finding more people going to more holistic doctors, seeing more of that now. The food system in local areas, you're seeing much more farm to table, much more farmers markets. Education, more and more people are homeschooling, mostly locally. So I do think that at a local level, particularly rural and suburban areas, you're seeing less of that. The trend is in the right direction. How about that? That's what I would say. I won't do what you tell me. End up participating in the system. Why are we arguing when the program expose themselves, the running man at 24 in real time and ignorance? I think the I think the trend is in that direction. I think it is. And I think another piece of that, there are several small pieces that I think show us that we're going in the direction. The three things that I mentioned is one. Well, I guess it's three. But then there's another one, and that is more and more people leaving the two major parties and either, I don't like this part, but true, checking out, which I wish they wouldn't, but checking out, or register as independent or no party affiliation or third party. I think more of that's happened than ever. I see it everywhere. And the last piece, which is, again, this part I don't like, is the 7 to 10 million men who've checked out. They have checked out. Dude, it's already happening. So I think it is happening. The trend is showing that to be true. We're not there yet. The trend is showing it to be true. And also something else, the rise in non-corporate, non-mainstream media also starting to happen more and more. So I think that too. So I think there's lots of ways you could look at that and see that the trend is in the right direction. So there's some good news. See, there's some good news. There we go. All righty. Let me go down here. I got so many of these I want to grab. All righty. Phil says, I'm moving up towards Patricia to live in the woods. Patty does. I mean, it's not a bad place to live. Plattsburgh is nice. I mean, it's nice. There's nice parts to Plattsburgh. Absolutely true. So there's something. All righty. Let's see here. Mike in the house. How are you? It's insane. Some pregnant women are chugging Tylenol cause TDS. Yes. Look, I get you don't like Trump. I'm no one's sitting there saying you gotta like him. You don't. Do you have to chug Tylenol because he said don't? It's almost you think you're owning him, and he's the opposite. He's loving that. I'm sure his people took those TikToks and showed right to him. Said, look, they're chugging Tylenol because you. And Trump probably had a big laugh. If you don't like Trump, the best thing you can do, if you don't like him, is to utterly ignore him. That's the best thing. I wasn't joking when I said, when Charlie Kirk got shot, if you're on the left, just shut up. Say nothing. Go about your day. Let the right grieve, move on. But they can't, because they have to virtue signal. They have to virtue signal. They couldn't. Mike, you want to talk about this. They can't not do it. It's impossible. They must do it, even if it hurts them. Even if it hurts their baby. That's how broken we are. We would gamble on hurting our baby. We would. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that Tylenol is an issue, but are you that sure? Are you that sure? When Tylenol itself says either don't take it if you're pregnant, or it says, depends on what you look at, it says consult your doctor before you do. That's what Tylenol says. So, yeah. He goes on to go, they don't recall 2017. Tylenol said, don't take it, right? Willing to hurt kids for virtue signal. Yep, 100% true. All accurate. It drives me crazy. It's so true. So, yes. All righty. Go down here if I can. Michael's on to say, Newsom upped the vitriol last night, claiming Trump/MAGA will end the election in 2028 on Colbert. They've been saying that forever. Mike, didn't they tell us that the 2024 was the last elections? They did tell us that, remember? There's no more elections. 2024 is the last one. There's no more. But all of a sudden, somehow, there's one coming up here in about a month and a half. Huh. That was weird. I thought the elections were over. That's what they said. It's an existential threat to democracy, they told us. I remember that shit. That it's over. Well, no, because there's an election. Month and a half here. So, yeah, just saying. Absolutely. All righty. Let's see if I can go down here. I got a bunch of these if I can. Him says, Larry, hey, how are you? Appreciate it. Brown is here. Nice. Flying Red says, reset to 0 days since Tim shoots him. Jesus Christ. Oh, Rich, good to see you, brother. Lunatic, thank you for the $5. Lunatic wants to connect all resources nationwide for the freedom of all. You may get dirty, like any soldier knows. Most source unknown. Most source unknown. Look, how do you create something? How do you create something like that when the second you try, you will find that the government comes after you, right? If other people don't join you, you just go to jail. You have to have everybody on your side. Well, not everybody, I'm exaggerating. A big enough chunk of people on your side. The best example I can give recently was the Bundy Ranch. Was that Colorado? Out west, I think it was Colorado, out west of the area, where they were like, we're going to come, get your stuff. And all his boys showed up all armed. And the government walked away. If you don't have that, it doesn't work, man. Why do you think I keep doing what I'm doing? I think we should have that. Rhetoric, thank you, my friend. Member for 7 months. Thank you for membership. I appreciate it. I will only eat blue foods while pregnant to ensure my baby isn't born red or orange. See, that's it. Rhetoric knows. That's what you got to do. You just eat the blue foods, and then your baby's fine. Okay? You guys eat your red foods, you're going to end up getting a Republican baby. You don't want a Republican baby, do you? That's crazy. Only insane people want Republican babies. So eat the blue food, and you'll get a Democratic baby, which is the only right baby, of course. We all know that. At least Rhetoric knows that. You got that. Thank you for the membership, my friend. Absolutely. Guys, I know I've been asking for stuff, so I will ask one more time. Please, if you would, hit the button known as Lima India Kilo Echo. You know that button. Like, that's the button. Click it. Why? Because Mr. Rhythm, Algo, love when you do that. So please do that. Absolutely. If you have not posted or shared this someplace, you hate pregnant women. Why do you hate pregnant women? Don't hate. What are they done to you? We'll take Tylenol. But that doesn't mean you should hate them. Don't hate pregnant women. And to stop that and to not hate pregnant women, the way you get around that is by sharing or reposting. If you don't share or repost, you hate pregnant women and you're a bad person. And you might have a red baby. And you can't have that. Nobody wants that. See? Don't have a red baby. Share, repost. Then we'll be okay. Let's keep that going. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. Lunatic back in action again. Resources and people and the oppression. We're on our way, my friend. We are on our way. We are absolutely on our way. And that's what I see positiveness here. I see positiveness here. That's what I see. I see things going in a better direction. That's what I see. Rhetoric knows. Yeah, no red baby. You can't have that. Nobody wants that, Rhetoric. You get it. Thank you. There we go. Jan doesn't hate pregnant people because Jan reposted this stream. See? So Jen understands. He gets it. The rest of you guys, not so much. Thank you, Rich. It was Bundy was Nevada. Thank you. I thought it was Colorado. Right. Nevada. Yes, I remember that. That was relatively recent. 10 years ago. So that was relatively recent. And I think that is probably a decent example of that, right? That was a decent example. So, all righty. Grab some more of these if I can. I'm trying to go down to these as many as I can. All righty. Phil says, Larry, would you go to Harriet Tubman's house in Auburn, New York? Is there a reason? I mean, I don't want to go to do like maybe do a video, maybe. I mean, I don't want to like go and then be like that guy who just, says, I would go. I have to have a reason. That's what I'll say. I have to have a reason. Yes. So the poll question over on Sharpe Way YouTube. Violence appears to be increasing, and anger definitely is. Does the political divide make you, 1, more nervous, afraid, 2, more willing to fight for your side, 3, less willing to fight for your side, not sure what to think is 4? Yeah, which one of that? Pick the one you think is appropriate for that. That's the poll over on Sharpe Way YouTube. If you want to pop that up, you can check that over there on Sharpe Way YouTube. So, all right, let me grab some more of these if I could. All right, Kintugi says, Mike, I chose more nervous or afraid, but not really, just angry or discouraged. Well, there we go. That's kind of true. Yes. Phil says, get strapped or get clapped. Harriet Tubman, probably. That does sound like her. I bet that's true. Yeah. Mana Threat says, RFK's speech was much better than anything this guy says regarding division, tearing country apart. I'm not sure where you're going with that. I'm not sure what you mean by that. RFK in general is only divisive when people push him into being divisive. I don't think he normally does divisive stuff. He doesn't go, Americans are bad. He doesn't. He says things like sick kids are for both sides. He says we're all suffering. I don't think he's very divisive at all. The problem came is when he said what he said, and then Trump was like, don't take Tylenol. And the other part is when they attack him because how dare him not follow the rules and how dare him not be part of mainstream and let's insult him. And the amount of people who I saw on TikTok and on YouTube and on X who were saying, I don't listen to people who don't have degrees in medicine. Okay, that just means you're brainwashed and that's what you, okay, you have a right to do so. Why are you forcing other people to do that? Fran says, thank you, Larry, us versus them. Yes, absolutely. Yes. All righty. Rich, oh, look at that. I love this one. Rich says, hey, the Sharpe way, can we have option D on the poll? The right needs to reach out to the left and have more personal conversations to humanize us. That would be good. There's the only problem with that. I love the idea. There was a guy who was doing that. There was a guy. I don't know if you heard this guy. His name was Charlie. He was doing that. And now he can't. So, yes. But you probably would understand that that's going to be challenging to do. And now when you see, if any of you seen this, there are some people trying to copy that. That's actually trying to happen. And it's resulting in fistfights. I'm not joking. So now there are other people who are trying to copy what that crazy guy Charlie was doing, right? Trying to copy him. And when they do, they get harassed and thrown off of campuses. So I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying it's challenging, Rich. That's what I'm going to say. It's challenging. Kim says, Charlie Kirk's assassination had things heating up globally. This is a biblical war coming soon. Things are going on in South Korea are telling. Kim, I'm getting tired of you being right. All right? I don't want to believe you. Stop. I don't want to believe you. I'm just not going to believe you just because I don't have a reason. I don't want to. That I'm not going to believe you. I don't want to. Sarah says, autism first diagnosed in 1926. Tylenol invented in 1955. Okay. That doesn't mean this type of thing doesn't mean that it affects it or not. It might not. I'm not taking a stance on that. I don't know if it does. I'm not saying it does or doesn't. But that doesn't matter, right? Cancer's been around before cigarettes, but cigarettes still cause cancer. So, and cigarettes don't cause cancer in everybody. Maybe Tylenol doesn't cause autism in everybody. I mean, there's no doubt that if you smoke, the risk of cancer is higher. Doesn't mean you're going to get cancer, but the risk is higher. I think that's true. And everyone who smokes knows that the risk is higher. Doesn't mean you're going to get it, but the risk is higher. Some people who smoke for a long time and never get cancer. Does happen. And some people never smoke and still get cancer. So I'm not sure. The big explosion in autism was like what, the 80s and 90s, if I'm not mistaken, in that area is when it began to explode in that area. So could it be Tylenol? Maybe. I don't know. What people have been saying, and I've heard this before, there was a push in the 70s to what pregnant women used to take was aspirin. That's what they used to take when they would have pain. And then doctors said there was some syndrome or disease that was coming up from taking aspirin. I don't remember what it was. Oh, I forgot the name of the illness. Something with an R. Rowan disease? No, that's not it. Anyway, there was something that was happening there was a disease that the parents were, that was coming up because of that. And the doctor said, stop taking aspirin. It's not good for you if you're a pregnant woman. So what they say, we'll take Tylenol instead. That happened in the 70s. So pregnant women started taking Tylenol as an alternative to aspirin in the 70s. And Sarah, you may or may not know that. That's when it began to explode in pregnant women. They didn't take Tylenol. Pregnant women hardly ever took Tylenol prior to that. They took it only in the 70s, 80s, 90s, which of course coincides with the new diagnosis of autism. And that's why people think that's true. Again, I'm not saying that's true. What I'm saying is your comment is just an insult and doesn't mean that Tylenol is good or bad or does it or does not. It doesn't mean any of those things. Tylenol has said either don't take it if you're pregnant, or ask a doctor before you take it. And they've also said there's no evidence showing that it causes autism. That's what Tylenol has said. I think all of those could be true. It could be true that they've said we haven't tested it on pregnant women, so please don't take it. And if you want to take it, please talk to a doctor. And by the way, there's no links. All those things could be true. All of them can be true. All of them could be, but we'll see. So anyway, Kim goes on to say, so the left didn't listen. So now what, Larry? What's the next move? The next move is I keep saying, keep talking third parties. Keep talking independent parties. Keep talking single issue coalition. Single issue coalitions. Kim was on to say the right will not let it go either. True. They will not. You're right. Someone has to effing stop. Yes. Who's the adult in the room? I'm hoping it's us, Kim. I want to be that. That's it. That's what I want to be. I want it to be us. Fran says, yes, America's unrecognizable. I'm a vet. I served all people. Me too. I do not recognize this country. It is devoid of seeing humanity in each other. Foaming at the mouth, blood pouring from the eyes, hate. Yes, we dehumanize each other, Fran. You are correct. Constantly. Constantly. Yes. It's true. So, Kajun says, Kim, Larry's the adult. Thank you. I'm the adult in the room. There we go. I'm the adult. There we go. Yes. Kazuya says to Kim, it's all about winning for them. They won't stop. Also true. Yes. So, Phil says, it shows the through line of inspiration since Luigi. Also true. Yes. That I understand. Again, I want to be clear. I don't want to dismiss. I try to have as much empathy as I possibly can and understanding. I get why you would hate some health company CEO. I'm not so I couldn't see that. The issue is you went to a point where you would murder him and leave his family harmed and change nothing except ruin your life. But Luigi is popular and he has virtue signal as hard as you can. There's the issue. And this goes back to my last piece, which I keep bringing up all the time. Unhappy people don't have anything except virtue signaling. That's what they have. If you see, I forgot who said it. I'm trying to remember who was talking about it. Oh, I missed that. I saw it someplace. Person was talking about all these people who are unhappy. That the reason is because they hate themselves and they don't have anything. So virtue signaling is what they have. That's how they become great. That's how they become valuable. That's how they become important, is by doing things like this. So yeah, there we go. All righty. John says NSA is correct. It increases the chances, does not cause it. Many things increase your chances of many different diseases. You can ignore it if you want to. I see. It could be that. I say all the time, life is two things, habits and odds. Better habits gives you better odds. Doesn't mean you're going to get what you want. Doesn't mean you won't get what you want. If you have terrible habits, you still might get lucky and get what you want. But I think you're right. It does that. Yes. So JG says, also the stats for left-wing violence is not categorized by left-wing law enforcement. It distorts facts. Many of those things are true. A lot of the stats are changed here and there. You have they talk about the idea of some of you know this stat. If you're a Second Amendment supporter, you know this. They talk about how the number one cause of death for kids in America, they will tell you, is firearms. Absolutely not true. Absolutely not true. The data that they use there, they made children 19 years and younger. And the vast majority of that, of course, is gang violence. So yeah, that's just the story they'd say. So yeah. All righty. Let me keep going down here if I can. All right. There's so many if I can. I love these. Literally, says they both suck equally. True. True. Michael says, can you talk about Ryan Roush, Larry? That's a bit vague. Both his names start with R. I don't. What are you asking me about him? I'm not sure what you want on that one. That was a little bit vague. Ryan's a cool name. I don't know what I talked about him. Help me out, Michael. Put something else you want in the poll. Put something if you want in the chat so I know what you're talking about. So yes. All right. Let's see. Kim says, when I hear Larry say ignore them, it will stop. I believe he's the adult in the room. No, I'm not saying ignore them. I'm not saying that. I'm saying when someone is grieving, you don't have to rub it in. You can just say nothing and let them grieve. That's what I'm saying. Even though you hate the person, even though you hate the thing, just let it go. And when it comes to someone like Trump, if you want to leave him alone, that's the best thing. Mess with the people who can make something happen. Focus on things locally to make changes. That makes sense. No matter what, you yell at Trump all day, not going to affect him at all. At all. Nothing. Not at all. On a thread says, this is not just an American phenomenon. European does this with Russia yeah, I think you're right. This is human. This is human. Yes. Kinsugi says, suddenly disagreeing with someone makes you an enemy. Well, again, remember, when you add authoritarianism, and that's the key piece, adding authoritarianism is the key piece, because now when my guy gets in charge, I'm going to be afraid, because my guy, the other guy gets in charge, is going to now impose their will upon me. They're now evil, going to crush me. So, yeah. So, Phil Rumble says, Ryan Roush was the guy that shot Trump. I know that. I'm aware of that. He basically got sentenced to life in prison. I'm aware of that. I don't know. Do I think he deserves it? I'm not sure. The point, Phil, I was trying to make is I don't know what Michael wanted me to talk about. Like, do I agree with the sentence? I don't know what he wanted me to talk about, is what I'm saying. So, yeah. That's what I was getting at. Maybe I should, you know what? Maybe I should have been clearer, Phil. Good point. I talked trash about him, and then I wasn't clear myself. Valid point. Valid point. All right. Let me keep going. All righty. Where are we here? I think I want to grab a couple more of this if I can. So many of these. All right. Mike says, fair. You make a good point, Larry. Just freed polling was deceptive, as most would notice the time frame is like this. I agree. Yeah, you're right. And I'm with you. You're correct. I was just making my point, which was the otherism is what I was using that for, right? I was using that for his otherism point. And for his otherism point, that was exactly the right chart to use for that point. And the other points I made were also true. The way they collect data doesn't always show what's actually left and right wing. Also, they do skew the data in how they collect it. So yeah, alrighty. Let me grab some more of these if I can. And then while Liberty says she will get a surprise in 2 to 2.5 years, maybe. Yes. Liberty says I fight for her right to be stupid and not read the label on Tylenol. The problem is, Liberty Lady, is that woman who did that, she's a fertility doctor. I'm not joking. She should know better. Yes. So Phil says, Donald Trump says eating poop causes autism. Don't say that, because that's going to happen next. Absolutely. That is so going to be, yes, absolutely. 100%. Yes. So much. Becky says, well, of course, no ring. So I know. Yes, I know. Yes. But of course, no ring. Yeah. Yes, it's true. I'm sorry. Yes. Maybe that was petty. Maybe it was. But I was just watching Crystal bust Sagar's stones. And then I saw this. I'm like, God, why? Just, yeah. So yeah, maybe that was wrong. No, I stand by it. Yeah, I stand by it. That's all. All right. Yeah. It says, breaking news, Trump says the leader of vodka a day causes autism. Exactly. Chug that next. I love that. Keep doing that. Michael says, scrolling the street. Yes. True. Yes, absolutely. Kim says, yes, nothing is the other thing to do. Correct. There are times, you guys have seen me do it, where I don't touch things. I leave some things alone. Particularly in my own LP world, I leave a lot of those alone, right? I try to leave them alone whenever I can. Yes. Becky says, the division is not going to end. Vance and Newsom are projected to be the nominees for the 2028 presidential race. I could see that. Both act ugly toward the other side. The powerfuls want to say, well, one another. I don't know about this one, Becky. If you're right, if it is Vance and Newsom, if it is, both are bold enough and charismatic enough that they could change things. Could. Will they? I don't know. I think the system will turn them to not do that. But I think those two particularly could. They both have strong personalities. They could. Possible. Vance is not afraid to go on Democratic venues. Newsom's not afraid to go on Republican venues. If those two are the nominees, I'm not saying they are, but it could be. That's not a crazy thought at all. There's a chance. I would hope maybe there's a chance. And then Why Liberty says, studies in the last 3 years show there's a link, but what that link is requires more studies. It's likely a complex interaction if it proves out. I think that's true. I think it's probably true. But again, this is my point. Now we're going to do it. Well, Larry, we've been looking at it for years. That's horseshit. No, we haven't. Autistic kids on the spectrum have been a gold mine for the medical industrial complex. A gold mine. He said it. He's right. Yes. So, all right. Let me keep going down here if I can. So many of these. Michael says, I remember when people wouldn't get the jab because Trump got it and approved. Then the Biden, everybody wanted jab mandates. Yes. My point exactly, Michael. If Trump wants it, bad. Trump doesn't want it, bad. Trump wants it, good. Trump doesn't want it, good. Is the thing good? I don't know. Is the thing bad? I don't know. What I know is whether or not Trump wants it. That I know. That I got down. And I'm going to judge it based on how I feel about Trump or whether she get the thing. And that's the crazy part. Phil $1 says, definitely, Larry. Is it touche? Seems cut and dry. Rumble rants are cheaper than super chats, and you can say more. 200 words for $1. What a bargain. True. You're not wrong. Rumble rants are cheaper. That's true. Yes. Accurate statement. Yeah. Mike has bad news. Says, I know many will disagree with me, but these are the same ladies that are more than willing to sacrifice their children to Moloch in the form of yes. That's a tough one. I feel like that's becoming maybe true. It's hard for me to say that one. Not because I'm going to get in trouble. I just basically said the non-ring thing. I'm not scared of that. I'm trying to see if it's real or not. I could see it as true. I could see it. But then again, you might just hate Trump and you might not, the sacrifice, as you would call it. I don't want to say the word because I'm on YouTube. I'm not sure if they would go together, but I could see it. I could see it. You're finding a lot of people, a lot of women, particularly, feel like if you are pro-life, you are anti-woman. I think that's a common thing nowadays. So maybe I could see it. I could see it. Yeah, maybe. All right. Fran says victim mentality. Have to create that persecution complex. Well, because it's valuable. The victim mentality allows you to get street cred in the TikTok world. It's true. I mean, that's where street cred comes from, right? It's a victim Olympics sometimes. Yeah, in that. So, yeah. All right. I do want to bring this up. We talked about that idea. There is a place where you can find stories and ideas regarding people thinking about, is it Tylenol? Is it not Tylenol? What is it? You know where you can find that? You knew it was civil, did you? You knew. Of course you know. Of course you did. Yes. And this actually is from earlier this year. This one is actually an interview with noted skeptic Michael Shermer. Now, I've actually interviewed him too. I had him on my show. No, not my show. I had him on a interview back at Freedom Fest years ago. And this is him now talking to Reason, talking about the wokeness, how wokeness poisons science. What?
This is the Reason interview with Nick Gillespie. Thanks for tuning in. You've probably heard the saying, even paranoids have real enemies. That's from the poet Delmore Schwartz, who was both clinically paranoid and absolutely onto something. My guest today is Michael Shermer, the founder of Skeptic Magazine, a Substack superstar, and author of many best-selling books about rationalism, the evolution of morality, and pseudoscience. He quotes Schwartz in his latest book, Conspiracy: Why the Rational Believe the Irrational, to drive home the point that big world-changing secret plots happen all the time. But
there we go. So I don't want to go any further because I want you to go watch that one because it's a good one. If you have a chance, head over to civil.com, CIVL.com. And when you go over there, do me a favor, put in the code Larry, L-A-R-R-Y. Why, Larry? Why would I put that code in? Because you're going to get 50% off for the entire year. The whole year, $25. $25 for the entire year, not per month, per year. Every single show, I'll show you something cool. And this is from this year. This is like it's from 10 years ago. It's this year. New cool content to talk about things that matters to you. Now, I know a lot of you care about conspiracies because you watch this show. So I know you do. So heading over to Civil, sign up, code Larry, $25 a year. Watch this show. When you're done watching it, tell me what you think. I would appreciate it. Guys, please pop it up. Remember, Civil is trying their best to get you to understand without the conflict machine. Also, to get you to chat without having a horrible back and forth. And here's the best part. There are 6 or 7 of my episodes on there. The We Fix It Wednesdays, only on Civil. No place else. So you can't get any place else. Not on my website. No, not on YouTube. No, only on Civil. CIVL.com, code Larry, $25. Thanks. They are supporting us. I'm supporting them. Help us out. Thank you. All right, let me keep going down this road if I could. I hope you guys enjoy that piece. All righty. Let's see here. Kintsugi says, I hope she never runs again. I think she wants to. I think she does, obviously. However, I do think that she's blowing it badly. The left is even saying she's screwing up. So it's not the right, of course, is going to hate her. I get that. But the left is also saying she screwed up. So, yeah. Dave says, African Americans are more socially conservative. So Pete Buttigieg being gay might have played a role. It's possible, but he was one of the only guys who got like 0% of the black vote, like 0. So maybe that's part of it, but 0? Right? I mean, that means even gay black people like, nope. So, I mean, he got 0. I mean, I guess maybe, but it seems like a big deal for that to be. That could have been a small part, is what I would say, Dave, but I don't think it's a big deal at all. I can't see it as a big deal. Just my view. So we'll see. All righty. See if I can go down here. All right. Literally says, Shelly, did you see that Larry/Rogan YouTube short that came out today on my show? Oh, yeah. Guys, I have shorts coming out. Please pop them up if you would. It does matter if you want to check out some of my shorts. They're kind of cool. They're on YouTube. The team puts them together. They're amazing. Please do that. So, yes. Monitor, it says, and there's no hostility towards women. Okay, Crystal? To men, rather. I'm not sure what you meant with that. There is a divide that is happening more between men and women. That is political. That is ideological. Men checking out, women not respecting men, men not liking women. I think there's that some of that is happening. I think it's true. But would it affect them voting? I don't think somebody would say, somebody would say, I don't think anywhere near the vast majority of people would say, oh, I'm not voting for that person because they're a man. I'm not voting for that person because they're a woman. If anything, it will be the opposite, meaning I'm going to vote for that person because she's a woman, if anything, right? And I think she took advantage of that. Kathy Hochul does that, plays the gender card all the time. If anything, it's I'm voting for her because she's a woman, if that. And I'm not sure how prevalent that is either, to be forward with you, Minor Threat. But if there's a piece, it's probably that. So, yeah. Robert says, I knew there was no chance of the left not saying anything about Kirk's death based on the way in which the right have been plastering memes all over Elon's X Twitter celebrating Floyd's death. Not the same, though. I get it. Not the same. And what I mean by that is Floyd became an icon. And part of the reason why Floyd became an icon was because of what the right did, right? And I did a show on that. The right immediately made Floyd a bad guy, and it's irrelevant. And let me say it again. I'm not saying George Floyd was some saint or some awesome guy. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is it doesn't matter. What happened to him was bad. He did not deserve to die, regardless of how good or how bad he was. The same thing happened with the gentleman, oh, God, who Daniel Penny killed. I forgot that guy's name. I feel bad. I should remember that guy's name. Same thing. Oh, he was a bad guy. It doesn't matter. He shouldn't have been killed. Again, I don't blame Daniel Penny. Daniel Penny also should not have gone to jail. I'm glad he didn't. And that guy shouldn't have died. Both of those things are true. George Floyd shouldn't have died. That he didn't deserve that. Of course not. But he wasn't a hero prior to that. He was some dude to the vast majority of humans, some guy, until he died. Charlie Kirk was a hero to many people on the right prior to his death. That's a big difference. It's a big difference. So I think that's why it's different. But I get your point being that people are going to be angry and want to thrash out. But this goes back to Kim's point. Someone's got to stop. At one point, someone's got to stop, or people are going to get stopped. I'd rather not do that. So, yeah, I hope that at least makes sense to you. I don't know if you agree, but I hope it at least makes sense. Michael says, that's why Crystal had to marry her adopted son. True. To Crystal groom her husband. That's terrible. Let me keep going before I'm getting myself in trouble. So Robert goes on to say, if the point is celebrating death is tacky and problematic, there was no way people weren't going to call that contradiction. And it's not like those people are wrong. No, but you see my point, right? I'm not saying you're wrong, but I hope you see my point. There's a difference in those two. One became a hero because of the attacks. One already was one. So yeah. So, all righty. I get this all the time. Thoughts on California's AB 495? Alexa, I'm so happy you're here. It's been a while. How would I know what that is? Get it constantly. And I tease about it. I get it constantly. Like I'll be someplace and someone will go, well, Larry, how about HR 225? How would I know what that is? I don't know what that is. You should help me out, Alexa. Tell me what that is. I'll look in the chat. Tell me what that is. And then I'm happy to give you my I don't know what it is, but yes. All righty. Let's see if I can go down here. Michael says, I have both liberal and conservative friends because I have common values of both sides, different issues. I have tons of them on both sides. You guys see them. I bring them on here sometimes. Absolutely. I have tons of them all over. Yes. Michael Gray says, divorce court makes men and women hate each other. I just brought that up today in a meeting. You're totally correct. Divorce court tends to reward whoever lies the fastest, the biggest, the firstest, the mostest. Yes, those will get rewarded. So if you are a deadbeat dad, you're rewarded. If you are a crazy mom, you're rewarded. Okay, but you're not a deadbeat dad. You get punished for the deadbeat dad. Oh, you're not a crazy mom. You get punished for the crazy mom. Yes. So now everybody, you totally true. That's accurate. And if you're a lawyer, what's the value in getting it done quickly? There is none. The value is in making go as long as you possibly can. Yes, as long as you possibly can. And they do. Yes. And they do. So yes. Patty's very sweet. Let us turn to each other, not on each other. Very nice. I like that. All right. Let me see if I could pop up here if I can to see if there's anything I might have missed real fast. I'm going to rush through some of these if I can. All right. Mark P goes on. Divorce court is a bigger scam than anything the Nigerians have come up with. Everyone gets scammed in divorce court. Winners and lose. Well, no. The lawyers win, Mark. The lawyers do win. They're the winners. The lawyers are the guys who do win. So, yes. All righty. Let's see here. Okay, now Rick's teasing. How about OU8? Thank you, Rick, for playing. Thank you. Yeah, there we go. Yes. Nathan says Floyd wasn't a hero at any time in life or in death. I'm not sure that's true. I think that Floyd became a hero after his death. I think the left made him a hero, and then he did. You see mural on the walls, all those things. So yeah, absolutely. So any case, so. Oh, Nathan wants to be a bad guy. Nathan's a tough guy. All right, Nathan, you're a tough guy. Be a tough guy, Nathan. I appreciate you being here, but I think you got to go. Just saying. Just my thoughts. I think you got to go. All righty. Let's see here. Okay, Alexa, thank you for bringing this up. It's where they're allowing anyone to give medical consent without parental knowledge as long as they sign some affidavit. Oh, okay. There we go. Thank you for that. Thank you. Okay. There we go. All right. Yeah. What I bring up constantly, and you guys know that I'm a libertarian, and you know that I wear it on my sleeve. And sometimes Mike gets mad at me because I'm a libertarian. But yes, I am a libertarian. Absolutely true. But I always say you should do what you want as long as you are two things. Consenting is one. Adult is the other. Those are two things. Parents matter. No, that is a terrible idea. Consent comes from a parent if you are a minor. Once you're 18, you are now an adult and you may consent. Up to you. Until then, parents matter. Parents' rights matter. Again, I'm a libertarian. You want to go do some some medical thing? You are a consenting adult. I give you my opinion. If you want to hear it, you don't have to hear it. But if you want to hear it, awesome. You can hear it. You're not required to do anything that I tell you to. Not at all. But again, consenting and adult. I bring that up also often. Those are two things that matter. So yes, that is not a good idea. It does not matter. But wait a minute. This is the argument. But wait a minute, Larry. What if the parents are bad and they're wrong and it's going to hurt, blah, 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 blah. I get it. And sometimes parents will be wrong. Parents are human. And some parents make terrible mistakes. It's true. I'm not saying they aren't. That doesn't give the government the right to step in. It simply doesn't. It does not allow the states to step in. Sometimes parents send their kids to the wrong doctor. Sometimes parents send their kids to the wrong school. Sometimes parents smack their kids when they shouldn't smack their kids. Sometimes they should have smacked them when they didn't smack them. Whatever. That isn't the point. The point is, those are your parents. If they're that bad of a parent, then you can petition the court and see if that could get new parents then. Good luck with that. That's the best I can do. But no, it does happen. I get it. Parents are not perfect, but here's what I know for sure, Alexa, and the data is in. Statistically, over time and throughout the population, kids will always do better over time with kin. There will be exceptions. Some parents are terrible and they abuse their kids. Absolutely. Does that mean now the state gets to own all the kids? No. I feel bad for those kids who get hammered. It's terrible. I hate that. No. That was a few broken eggs? No. Freedom. Parents matter. That's what it is. It's not a few broken eggs. There is no perfection. Here's how it works. And I teach this actually in my business classes and in life. When you demand perfection, you get deception. Humans are not perfect. If you ask for perfection, you will get deception. There will always be broken eggs. You can try to make a system that doesn't work, that doesn't have it. It will never work. You just get lies. You get hidden broken eggs. You get broken eggs that are being hidden. I'd rather have everything out front, see the broken eggs, try to repair them, try to fix them, and make as few broken eggs as possible. As few as possible. Matt says the family needs to be strong. Yes. And the problem is, isn't. That's the second piece. You're right. It's the second thing. Yes. Absolutely. So I do really want the family to be strong. And we should have a culture that says that. We should have laws that help to protect that. I mean, all those things are true, right? All those things. All right. Let me keep going down here. Rick says, poking out the YouTube. Why do you guys keep poking with this? That's the, oh, Jesus. Universe 25 was, hold on. Rick says, is anti-procreation and sons and kids one of their sacraments? Oh, yeah. Wasn't that like some example of like that mouse utopia thing? Maybe I got it wrong. Ken says, why do we keep referring to Dems as liberal and Republicans as conservative? The only thing liberal about Dems is how they spend the people's money. The only thing about Republicans conservative is the power of the state. Nice. I appreciate that. Yes. I hope I answered your question, Alexa. Joel says, divorce lawyers were the biggest supporters of gay marriage. Of course they were. If I was a divorce lawyer, I would be too. Absolutely. The highest divorce rate, lesbians. Absolutely. Highest divorce rate, lesbians. Not even close. Like 80%, some crazy thing. Insane. So high. If I was a divorce lawyer, I'd be like, let all the lesbians get married. Please. Can't wait. Cha-ching. That's all I would care about. Absolutely. Jericho says, imagine how much more we could get done at all levels in government if we simply talk through things. Yep. No grandstanding, no political theater, no anger, just solutions. That would be nice. I would like that. I would like that. That'd be good. So, all righty. Let me grab this here. All righty. Rick says, the mass formation psychosis is real, but enough people can get us out of the Mouse Utopia. There we go. Yes, that's what it is. Yes. I remember that. Mouse Utopia. There's been a lot of videos on that. For those who don't know Mouse Utopia, it was an experiment in what, 60s maybe? 70s? I forgot. Many years ago. I don't remember exactly when it was done. I think 60s or 70s. I think 60s. Anyway, it was done many years ago where they basically created an environment to where it was perfect for mice. No predators, plenty of food, plenty of places to procreate, plenty of places to frolic, right? Like it was a perfect spot for mice, literally perfect. And you would think the mice would thrive. And it basically created a horrible place where mice became horrible. They started to not like each other. They fought. It was nothing but bad. If you just go to YouTube and type in Mouse Utopia, there's a bunch of videos on it. And it shows how that if you don't give the mice a challenge, a perfect world makes it terrible. It's similar to the movie The Matrix, for those of you, I'm sure, saw The Matrix, where they talk about in the first Matrix that the machines built, they made life perfect for humans. And the humans kept not taking it. They kept coming out of the system and the system kept crashing because the humans wouldn't buy it. They wouldn't survive. They wouldn't do well. So they had to make a system that was as bad as reality so that we would survive. So, yes. Mark says, it's the hardest choice someone should ever have to make. I hope I never find myself in a position where I must choose to kill my own child. It is terrifying, but it's my choice to make. I'm not. Is that from me? I'm not sure where that's from. Oh, because of pro-choice, pro-life. Yes, I got you. Look, I have said this more than once. I basically follow the model that is closest to our former governor, which is Mario Cuomo, not Andrew, Mario. Where I would say, I am absolutely, I want to have less and less and fewer abortions. But to do that, outlawing them doesn't work. If you remember, I said this years ago, ending Roe v. Wade is not going to be good for those people who are pro-life. It's not. And they thought it was. It's not. What winds up happening is, as I warned it happened, is that people would take pro-life as being anti-woman. And that's kind of happened. What I know is if you just outlaw abortion, what you actually do is punish poor women. That's what actually happens. That is what happens. You might go, yeah, but if we outlaw it, then there'll be less of them. Not true. Demonstrably not true. And you punish poor women. Wealthy women fly to wherever they want and get whatever services they want because they're wealthy. Not wealthy women might struggle. Poor women, they're the ones who get hangers and back alleys. That's what they get. Now, how do I know that to be true? Because very Catholic countries that had bans ended them, like Ireland and Italy, because they recognize exactly that. The wealthy Irish women just flew to the UK because they're wealthy and they got what they wanted. And the poor Irish women got back alleys. So why bother? If you want to have fewer abortions, and I do want that, then you have to make an environment where women choose to not have abortions. That's it. What does that mean? That means we have to make an environment where, one, women want to have babies, right? Number one. Two, they can afford to have babies. Also true, want that too. Three, if they don't want to have babies, contraception is very easy to have right there. Three, Adoption should be very easy so that someone wants to have the baby, they can get the baby adopted very easily. 4, let surrogacy be simple and effective. So I'm pregnant now. I don't want the baby. Okay, there's a couple that wants that baby. They'll take it. See, we got a frog in my throat. Apologize. Hold on a second, guys. There are literally thousands of couples across this country, probably hundreds of thousands, who would happily take a baby off of someone's hands to become the surrogate, who would happily pay all the fees, all the medical expenses, everything. Why? Because they're going to pay all this money for adopting anyway. Well, don't pay the adoption agency. Pay the actual woman who's currently pregnant, who is happy to give you her baby. Take care of her until she has the baby. In many states, New York State being one of them, it's either illegal or hard. We make a better environment. The best defense against abortion is an environment where women choose to not have them. If women choose to stop having abortions, abortions end. It's that simple. If women choose and say, hey, I'm not going to do that because either I'm not getting pregnant, right? Because I have contraception that's easy, that's not prescription, so I don't get pregnant, option 1. Option 2, if I do get pregnant, I have many options for me, or I feel comfortable having a baby. Either of those things are true. Then they'll stop. That is a much harder thing to do, agreed, but much more valuable and long-term actually works and doesn't have to add government to stop putting their hands on some woman's body. I'm not going to do that. And I'd rather not do that because it is her body. And it's, again, consenting an adult. Right? Remember that? Same thing. Yes. Mark P says, my number one reason I hate Trump is everyone laughs at us. The U.S. is a disgrace, no longer trusted, no longer respected, just a big joke. There's a lot of that out there. I think there is a lot of that out there. The issue is, and I say this often, I still think that the jury is out on Trump 2.0. And most people disagree with me. If they like Trump, they're like, no, Trump's killing it. It's awesome. They respect us. We're powerful. If they hate Trump, they say what you say. No, they can't stand us. It's a joke, blah, blah. There's both out there. No doubt. There's both out there. My worry is, making a decision is, I don't know what's going to be true 2 years from now. What of all the schemes and plans and stuff that Trump's got going on, what's going to hit and what's going to fail? If all his stuff fails, Mark, I think you're right. We will be a laughing stock. We will be a big joke. I think you're right. I think Trump will go down as a terrible president, one of the worst ever, if all his things fail. If they actually work out like he says, if they do, he's going to look upon as a great president. I'm being forward. One thing Trump is doing, whether you like or don't like him, he is absolutely rolling the dice. This guy is rolling the dice on everything. This is a big gamble. If it pays off, they'd be like, this guy was playing 4D chess the whole time. That's going to come up, Mark, if it all pays off. If it doesn't, I think what you're saying is true. I'm not sure I'm ready to make a decision on that right now. That's what I'm saying. I'm not ready. So, all right, let me go down here if I can, grab some more of these if I can. So many of these, I appreciate it. So Joel says, providing service to autistic kids is a lot of money in schools. Budget boxes must be checked. Yes, 100% true. That's the problem. As I mentioned, it's a cash grab. So K-Fit says, when I talk to people on the far left, I notice that their anger towards the orange man is rooted in manufactured fear. I'm learning that you can't argue with fear. All you can do is listen for a while. I think it's important to listen and to remind our friends and family that we actually share a lot of common ground. Here's just to remember, guys, for you guys talking. You can't beat an emotional argument with logic. You can't beat a logical argument with emotion. So when someone's emotional, remember this rule: emotion, then logic. Emotion first. If you don't have empathy for the person to understand them emotionally, you can't get them to logic. Ever. It doesn't matter. The problem is when people go, well, the reality is ba, ba, ba. You don't understand the data, ba, ba, ba. No one cares. No one's listening. They still hate you. It doesn't matter. It bounces. And this goes back to the old Ben Shapiro thing. Well, facts don't care about your feelings, which is insanely stupid. Because feelings are far more important, far more valuable, far more powerful than facts. Feelings ignore facts, make up facts, change facts all the time. People vote on feelings, act on feelings, kill on feelings. Everything's on feelings, not on facts. Feelings are far more. Facts have no chance against feelings. Zero. They get their ass kicked all the time. So go with feelings first so someone can then walk over to facts. But often people just go, but I'm right. Doesn't matter. So I'm often telling you, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying no one's going to care. So, yes. All righty. Rick says, I did a web search to back up the notion that Islamic terrorism is counted as right wing. Couldn't find it. Okay. Go into, type in something like this. In the FBI database, are Arabs considered white? And it'll pop up yes. Right? You can go to like say Grok or say Chat, whatever is your appropriate, search engine or AI. Ask if the FBI treats Arabs or Middle Easterners and titles them as white or not. And then say, if there is a white person who is attacking something, right? Are they considered white nationalists or right wingers? And you'll see that the FBI does count that. So go into not a Google search, but go into whatever AI you want to go into, and you'll see that's how it pops up. So I hope that's helpful. All righty. Francis did not apologize, Larry. Yeah, I kind of did, but then didn't. I kind of did. Then didn't. So yeah. Joel says, I have hopes that T.J. James gets a very public, full frontal legal karma, but I doubt was that. No, I think she's just going to what I think happens to her is she's been neutered. She's been neutered. She's not going to be able to become governor. She was thinking to become governor. That's what it was. Yes. John says, Larry, I thought the bigger news was that the old chemotherapy drug that RFK Jr. is going to approve for treatment of autism. I agree with you. And that was almost ignored. You're right. And that was almost ignored because Tylenol. Trump yelled Tylenol. I wish Trump didn't say that. I wish he'd just be quiet because you're right. It starts with an L. I forgot the name of that drug. What was the name of that drug? It was an L. Yes. That was the piece. Yeah. I forgot. It starts with an L, whatever that thing is. I can't find it now. Yeah, but yeah, that drug, correct. That drug. And look, to be fair, I don't know, but supposedly it helps with someone who has, doesn't it also with ADHD they said too? I think both. Yes. So Kim says, I agree with the grieving part, but anytime you respond to any of it, you're giving them a win. Also true. Yeah. Also true. 100%. All righty. Patty says, I went to a meeting here about unity of right and left, and we are going to try to be better. But a few there were very upset and volatile. No one from our seated official showed up. Yeah, well, they can't, right? Because they can't be seen with the evil, right? They can't be seen with the evil. That's the problem, right? I wish they would. So she goes on to say about 30 people showed up. 18 were left-leaning, 10 were right-leaning. The rest were no side. I would love to have that. One of the things I found often that was popping when I was traveling the state is very often I would find Democrats, Republicans, both at my events. And I love that. I really love that. Yeah. Rick says, autism seems to be a collection of syndromes like cancer. We have cured some cancers, even if we haven't cured cancer. Yeah, I think that's true. Dave, thank you. Reyes syndrome. That's what it was, Dave. Thank you. That was a thing for aspirin. Thank you. I forgot what it was. I knew it was R. I was like, Rain syndrome? Something? No, Reyes syndrome. That's what it is. Reyes syndrome, for those who don't know, I don't know. Supposedly, if pregnant women took aspirin, there was a higher chance of that happening. So the doctors were saying, don't take aspirin if you're pregnant. And people started then moving pregnant women started moving towards Tylenol. So thank you for that, Dave. I'd forgotten what that was. I can't remember everything, guys. I try to come up. I can't remember all of them. I remember a lot, but not all of them. So yeah. All righty. I think I grabbed all those pieces. That's good. All right. Let me go grab some more. I'm trying to grab as many of these as I possibly can. So many are popping up, and I love that you guys give me so many of them. I'm trying to grab them to the best of my ability. So, all righty. Where am I? Lady laughs at kin. kin is good. Isn't kin good? I want us to be with kin. I say kin because mom and dad aren't always available. If that makes any sense. And I know that because my dad died when I was a kid and my mom was an addict. So sometimes they both aren't available. So uncle, aunt, grandma, grandpa, they can also help. That's why I say kin. So yeah. All righty. Let me grab through here if I can. Gene, how are you? Democratic voters aren't the same as Democrats. They vote for. Democrats care about minorities, but Democratic policies harm the people they claim to be helping. True. For example, what state has the biggest income gap in our country and which party controls that state? New York and Democrats. Yes. True. You are not wrong. Yes. Rick says Mouse Utopia. There we go. Yes, that's what it was. Absolutely. All righty. Phil says, Larry, what was your favorite assigned book from school? I didn't do any reading in school. I didn't do any assigned reading. I hated high school. I couldn't stand it. I thought it was a complete and total waste of time, money, and energy. So I cut most of high school out. I barely graduated. I went Marine Corps when I was 17. I didn't care about the high school at all. So most of the books I had to read, I was always working. So I would pay my friends to do all my work. I'm not joking. So I would like say, hey, man, I got this book report due. Here's $10. Do it for me. Guys like, yeah, I'll do it. So I had a bunch of smart friends. I hung around with smart kids. And they would do my work for me. I would pay for it. And they get me a B or a C or a D. I didn't care. Just as long as I got passed. So I didn't read any of those books. I didn't read like The Great Gatsby. I didn't read any of that shit. I read none of it. So to me, it was all useless. I didn't read any of it. So I didn't do any of those. I paid people to do it for me. Why would I do that stuff? That's a waste of my time, money, and energy. I don't care. So I was either working or learning or doing something else. Or I'd rather screw around and read things I wanted to read. And back then I was reading things like Soldier of Fortune magazine because I was going to be mercenary. I'm not joking. I did that. I love Dungeons and Dragons books. So I read Dungeons and Dragons stuff. I would read history like there's no tomorrow. I loved history. That's how I know so much about history. You and I feel also about history because I read tons of history. I've been reading history since I was probably 11. History and sci-fi since I was probably 11 or 12. And history and sci-fi books weren't part of junior high school and high school. Therefore, useless. That is how I looked at things, Phil. When I was a teenager, if it wasn't sci-fi history, it was garbage. So why would I waste time doing that? I didn't care about my grades. They were useless and meant nothing. I still do today. I have very little respect for high school. I always have, and I still do. And I went to high school several years ago, a couple. I didn't care then. I didn't care now. So I appreciate the question, but I couldn't tell you. I didn't read any of them. So I don't know. So, all righty. Patty says, what's your favorite type of music or band? I tend to like music that is either very aggressive or very soft. So 90s Ice Cube and Sharpe and The Cure and Rammstein. Does that make sense? So I just named you several bands and groups that I like. So I like those two things. I tend to not like pop music. I tend to like things that are on the fringes. Either like I enjoy some of the soft music, like actually Kate Bush from the 80s. And also German rappers like Farid Bang. So both sides. So I hope I answered your question. So yeah, if it's pop, I probably didn't like it or weren't into it. If it was something that was odd or something like that, I probably enjoyed it. Except for the 80s. Like I grew up as a teen in the 80s, 70s and 80s. So I know a lot of pop music from the 80s. I know a lot of it because I grew up in it. So, and I'm an audio learner, which means when I hear songs, I can memorize them quickly because I'm an audio learner. Not everyone is. Most people are kinesthetic or visual learners. I happen to be lucky and I'm an audio learner. So that's why. So yeah, hope that makes sense. All righty. Jericho says, one of my favorite quotes, men, it has been said, well said, think in herds. It will be seen that they go mad in herds, while they only recover their senses slowly one by one. Yeah. And I would agree with that. I've always said that humans are the opposite of insects. An insect by itself is just a dumb insect bug running around. You put into a hive, it's a mastermind. Humans are the opposite. Individually, we're very smart. As a group, we group think and we're dumb. We become groupthink. So I think we're the opposite. I'm with you on that one. I think it's true. So yes. All righty. Dave says, in my opinion, ending Roe v. Wade and outlawing IVF will result in abortions all the way up to birth. Legalization of IVF, outlawing pro-life pregnancy crisis centers, and gender-affirming care for minors. Yeah, I can see it. I think we want to be as open as we can, giving people as many options as we can, supporting them as best we can, and I think that will. People should look at it. We should have a world. Right now, we don't have that world where when a woman says, "I'm getting an abortion," other women should be like, "Why? What are you doing? Why?" There's so many options, right? That's what should happen. Right now, most women go, "I get it. It's tough out there," and that's our fault, right? Absolutely. Kajan says, "Larry, du hast." That's why I turn it every night. Yes, those who know, du hast is one of the song, is one of Rammstein's song. Du hast means two things. It's a double entendre. It means you have and you hate in German. It's both. So yes, du hast. So du hast means you have me, also means you hate me. Yes, can mean both. So yes, that's true. So Kajan knows that's Rammstein. Yes. So and they still go. They're still going. Like they're much older now, right? They're much, but they're still going. They haven't stopped. They haven't stopped at all. So, all righty. I appreciate that. Thank you for that. So, some people knew. They got it. All righty. Robert again says, I don't think I like this utopian concept that people have, that if we can just get people to talk to each other, everything will be peaceful. That's overly simplistic and disregards disagreement. No, I don't think that's true. I don't think it's utopian. And I'm saying it's not utopian. To the earlier point, there will be broken eggs. I think you want it to be as peaceful as you can get it. And the more you talk, the less you'll have violence. You've seen this, right? What did MLK say? Riots are the voice of the unheard, right? So if people are heard, you will have less riots, less violence, right? Also, was it RFK Jr.? No, was it JFK who said, if you make peaceful revolution impossible, you make violent revolution inevitable. So yeah. It's not perfection, brother. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying it can be better. Yes, we want it to be better, right? If, again, as I said, if you demand perfection, you will get deception. That's it. Kintsugi says, seek to understand before being understood. Or people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Yes, absolutely true. Yes. Dave says, rumors and conspiracies that sound plausible will win over being correct and facts. Every single time. Yes. Rick says left-wingers aren't white. No, the white males are often seen as being right-wing. Yes, that's how they're often. That was the point of the guy. Who else was saying it? It was saying how they check the box. There's a check box the FBI uses, and they will often assume that. If you're a young white male, you must be right-winger unless you're like gay or something. They make assumptions on the checks. That's what I'm saying. They make assumptions. That's a thing. They do make assumptions. So. All righty. Jericho, thank you. That is it. Leo Corverin. There we go. That's the one. There we go. Rick says, it's pronounced rise. It's not pronounced Reyes. Thank you, Rick. You guys are correcting me. Thank you. Pronounced rise syndrome. There we go. I thought it was pronounced Reyes syndrome. But yes, I did remember that was the issue. So yeah. Everybody says Larry's behind in the chat. I'm trying. I'm getting there. I'm catching up. I am catching up. Yes, I am catching up. Gene says, I have a kid on my bus who is definitely on the spectrum. I feel so lucky to have him on my bus. He helps me learn the names of other kids on the bus. He's a wonderful person. Yeah, you'll find often people on a spectrum, one thing that they were often able to do, believe it or not, is, for people who don't understand it, it can seem annoying. But if you understand it, it cannot be annoying if you understand it. They tend to be very good at focusing on something. Now, that can be tough, right? If someone's constantly focusing on something, it can be difficult to handle that because most people don't do that, right? But if you are on a spectrum, many kids on the spectrum are very good at focusing. So if they're looking for names, they can hyper-focus on the names and remember everyone's name. It can be you can find kids on a spectrum can be very helpful with things like that. And they're happy to do it. Like they want to be helpful. They're kids. Kids want to be helpful, right? So they want to be helpful I think it's perfect. You see that. I think it's perfect. So yes. Rick says, favorite assignment was Lord of the Rings. Did we have that? I don't think we had that one when I was a kid. That'd been nice. I don't think we had that one. Yeah. All right. Kinsugi says, oh yeah, Larry. Oh, got it. Yes. Kin, not kintsugi. Yes, kin. Kin in Japanese means gold. Yes. And in Korean, kim means gold. In Japanese, kin means gold. So if you find a Japanese girl's name may be Kinko, which means my little golden girl. And Kingo, I think, means bank. Is that right? Also means bank, where the gold is. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. I remember my Japanese. It's been a while since I spoke Japanese. So yes. So in any case, yeah. Oh no, Larry can't read. I can read, just not very well. But yes, I can actually still read Japanese, believe it or not. I can still pick up pieces of it. I can do that also. Rick says, I loved history too. That was my thing. Absolutely. So yes, I can read. I just chose not to read that stuff. That's what it was. I chose to read other things. So yes, that was the piece. I chose to read other things. So, all right. Mark says, both parties have good and evil. Both parties are absolutely guilty of corruption. True. Self-serving politics before stuff that actually helps you and me. Both are at fault. True. Absolutely. Yep. True. Patty says, I like the Martian Chronicles. Well, there we go. Literally says I was more of a math nerd. I was not really a math nerd. When I was younger, I was. I don't know if I've ever told you guys this story. My father died when I was right after elementary school for me. So when I was in the elementary school, my father only cared about school. He thought school was the number one thing. It's all that mattered. He was all about it. So what did I do? I went out of my way to make my father happy. So I won all of the academic awards in my elementary school. I won art, math, science, English, I won every. I physically still have them, and that's from many years ago. I still have them. I was so proud because I want to make my dad proud. I won all the awards. Then my dad died, and I was like, I don't care anymore. I did it for him. I didn't care about school. I didn't care, so I just stopped. I went from winning every single award, being top of my class in every single subject, to barely passing, paying people to do my stuff. So what happens when your dad dies? For those of you who've lost your parent early in life, very common. You just become an asshole. I did. You hate the world. You're mad. Why me? Why did I lose my mom or my dad? And why didn't someone else? Why does that guy get to have a dad and I don't? Or if you lost your mom, why does that guy get to have a mom and not you, not me? You get mad at the world, which I did. Don't like the world, mad at everything. Everything's unfair. I was a kid. So yeah. Rick says, Kate Bush. Yes, absolutely. Was a big Kate Bush fan. Still like Kate Bush. Still do. Absolutely. Nice. Got some Kate Bush fans there. There we go. All right, we're good. I like it. So, all righty. Ken says, is there a correlation between prenatal Tylenol use, libertarians in D&D, or circumstances? No. My mom must have used Tylenol. That's why I'm libertarian and play D&D. It's all connected, Ken. All connected. All connected. Yes. Chrissy says, that's how I am. I don't like reading unless it's informational. I'd rather read a textbook or biography over Hamilton. Yeah, it's true. Kinsugi says the 80s are the best music. True. Mark says 80s metalhead here. True. Quiet Riot. Come on for the noise. Girls rock your boys. Yes, absolutely. A lot of math nerds in this chat. I can see that. Absolutely. A lot of those. Phil says the 80s was the fulfillment of the 60s and 70s. It was high energy, more technology. True. Absolutely. Yes. Mark says you put 100 insects together, you get productivity. You put 10 people together, you have a good shot at a fist fight. Yes. True. Absolutely. Yes. Mark, du hast mich. Yes. Absolutely. Ramstein is great. Well, okay, I'm winning. I'm winning on some of you guys. I like that. Brana, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest. Yes, and of course, Rush. I do love me some Kate Bush as well. Absolutely. I remember Iron Maiden, 100%. Judas Priest too. Yep, absolutely. Get another thing coming, don't you? And Rush, absolutely. Yes. Rick, ich liebe dich nicht. Du liebst mich nicht. That would be, hold on. That would be, hold on. Oh, Jesus. I know who that is. Female rapper out of Germany. Sister, Svesta. Oh my God, I've forgotten her name, but I feel bad, but I do know who she is. Duh! I had a crush on her from the 90s. I do remember her. That means, by the way, you don't love me. You don't love me. I want you. I love you, but you don't love me. I don't love. Yeah, you don't love me. So yes. All right. Andrea says, I used to like, oh yeah, KM, FDM. Yeah, of course. These are all good things. I love this. Dead Milkman. Now that's, yes, blast from the past. Yes, blast from the past. 100%. All righty. Let me go down here. Lila says, no substantial evidence, but it sounds like a great rabbit hole. If they're figuring it out, Leela, I'm okay with it. That's my point. Right? Rick, if you're a Democrat, you ain't white. Mirror Joe, but I like that. Very good. Yes. Chris says, dogma is the enemy of science. True. Yes. Larry, Ichiban. Ichiban is Japanese. It means number one. I don't know how to remember these things, but yes. Ichiban means number one. Ichiban, Niban, number two. Samban, number three. Yes. There we go. Liberty says, who's going to go through Larry Sharpe withdrawals if we don't get him back to Monday? True. I will be gone. Guys, I will be. That is true. I will be gone. Yes. Robert says, I'm not sure the more you talk, the less violence you will have. This is where the disagreement comes in. The civil rights movement literally used peace as a strategy and still receive violence. Yes, but less. Yes, but less. I think Gandhi showed that too. Less. It's not perfect. It doesn't mean there'll be no violence. Gandhi said it when they interviewed him, and they said, they interviewed him, Robert, during World War II, when we were fighting Hitler and the boys. And they asked him, they said, how can you possibly use nonviolence against a guy like Hitler? And he goes, you can, but not without defeats. You're going to have defeats. And don't you have defeats when you fight with violence? And this is what I would say, Robert. It's not perfect. Again, this is talking is not a magic pill. Talking makes things less bad. That's what I'm saying. How do I know that? I've literally studied with people who are hostage negotiators. I have literally talked people. I was talking to someone today about it. I have talked people out of ending themselves by just using talk. You can do it. It makes things less bad. It's not all of a sudden magical. It's not that. It just makes things less bad. That's all I'm saying. So I hope that was clear on what I was talking about. Guys, I'm going to ask you something very special if I could. I'm going to ask you to click the button known as like. It does matter. I'm also going to ask something else if you would. Head on over, if you would, to the advocates. There's a link right there. If you notice there's a link here there's a link in the description on YouTube and also on Facebook. And if you click that specific link, head on over there and check out this specific one, deregulating medical licensing. Check out this article. When you head over there, go over where it says regulation, click on articles, regulation, deregulating medical licensing. Why does this matter? Because we want more people to have more options, giving both doctors and patients freedom and choice. And this is an argument for it. This is an argument for it right here. Just last month, this month came out. When you have a second, check it out, read it. When you're done reading it, it's about 3 minutes short, 3 minutes long. Look how short that thing is. Tiny short. When you're done, what do you think? Rate it and then share it. Rate it and share it. It's free. Rate it and share it. And when you do that, you will notice that immediately people will start caring. People will go back and forth talking about it. More talk, Robert. See, more talk. I'm not just talking the talk. I'm walking the walk. Go talk. More talk means less violence. The Advocates helps that. It's the Advocates for Self-Government. I support them. They support me. Click that specific link. Read this article. Rate it. And then share it. This is a way of helping me without paying a dime. It's free. Take some time, but it's worth it. You have a good conversation on top of it. Please check that out if you would. I would appreciate that. It's very helpful. But not just that. After this is over, do me a favor. Put a comment down after this is over. Put a comment down. And here's what I want you to comment on. I want you to comment on, it's off topic, but it's okay. This is an AMA. Comment on what is your favorite music. You guys asked me. Now I'm asking you. Please put down what is your favorite music. What do you like? Put it in the comments after the live. I appreciate it. And if you're watching this, when this is not live afterwards, you see 2 videos pop up. Please watch one of them right away. Mr. Rhythm loves that. Mr. Al, go Rhythm. I'll be back next week, Monday. If you want to see where I'm going, head to any of my social media. You will see where I'm going Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I'm out. Come see me live. I'll chat with you. I'll see you all very soon.